What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? What is it today? I don't even know. Today is Monday, the 23rd of May, 2022. We're here on YouTube. Yes, we are here on YouTube. How's everybody going? How's everybody doing? I can't even pronounce my words today because it's been a busy day. Mondays are crazy. I'm tired, but here we are. YouTube, we got to get with it. My man George Kittle coming through. We got the George Kittle shirt. Had to rep it today. I feel like George Kittle's had a great offseason, taking a lot of leadership that he always does. And, the stuff he said last week about Trey Lance was amazing. But we got some things to talk about today. We have OTAs that started today, media access tomorrow. That'll be great to see. Great to see some people breaking it down, on the media. We'll see some content, hopefully. Hello, everybody. How's it going? Debbie France, how is it going out there today? We are here in beautiful YouTube. Got a nice little studio here, if you haven't noticed. It's the YouTube studio. It's actually at my complex. My daughter uses, there's like a study room area. There's like a couple different rooms. She's like, you should try it for your YouTube. I said, all right, we'll try it out. So we're trying it, little different vibe, little different ambiance. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. It's a little different than being in my home. So bang, bang, not a gang, Aiden. What do you guys want to talk about? Bring some questions up. We'll go over it. But today there was, like I said, the big news of the day is OTA started for the team. Now, there will be media access tomorrow, like I said. Hopefully we get to see some great content, but probably won't show us too much. The team's been kind of skimpy with the content. They're keeping things under wrap. But OTAs, it's great for the younger players, good for the rookies to go in there, learn the nuances of the playbook, kind of get down, figure out how it is to be in the NFL, and also get to let the coaches know who they are. This is important time. Veterans not necessarily need to always be there, and that brings me to Deebo Samuel. He's not at OTAs this week, obviously. He was in Dallas yesterday for the Warriors-Mavs game. After the game, he was, talking to Draymond Green, got his jersey, talking with another Bay Area legend, Steph Curry, got the jersey swap, took pictures. Deebo was the full celebrity out there, and then, he's in Dallas. He doesn't need to be for OTAs. He's training, doing his thing, and it's pretty much expected that Deebo wasn't going to be here for OTAs. He's in the middle of a contract negotiation, so I'm not too worried. I know a lot of fans were like, uh-oh, is he still having issues with the contract? I don't think so. I think they're working towards it. Now, mandatory camp is June 13th through the 15th. That's an important day. That's when he can start getting fined. These OTAs right now are not mandatory. They're voluntary, and really doesn't have to be there. Veterans, sometimes they mix them. Like Trent Williams isn't there. Nick Bosa's not there. There's a lot of players that aren't there for OTAs. So it's not necessarily the most important thing in the world, right? So my man Adam says, have I heard anything about OTAs? Yeah, nothing really today. There hasn't been much news. The players just getting there. They're meeting there. They're doing their workouts. They're doing their things. We haven't really seen much. We haven't really heard much. Now is a time where the players start getting in there, and we get to start seeing who's going to separate themselves, because there's 90 players on a roster, and you can only finish with 53 players at the end of the day. So at the end of the offseason, right? So we got some other news today. There was a tight end signing. The Niners they got some tight end depth. So let's talk about that. They did sign someone today. It wasn't Deebo Samuel to an extension, but they signed veteran tight end Tyler Kroft. He was on the Jets last year. He's been on the Bills. He's been on the Bengals. I think he was a former third-round pick. Not bad, decent guy. They have depth now at tight end. So now they have Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner. They got this guy, Tyler Kroft. They signed a tight end last week. Fumagalli, I believe is his name. Let me see. Garrett Fumagalli, yeah. So they have a lot of tight ends on the roster now. And, Shanahan likes to have 3, maybe 4. I think Jordan Matthews is still somewhere on that roster. So they have some tight ends. Again, Ross Dwelly, Charlie Warner, and a couple of these other guys, and, of course, George Kittle. But maybe signing these guys that they have, these veteran tight ends, if one of them can step up and actually put some production out there, George Kittle can be George Kittle. And he can go out there and be the tight end we all want him to be. I know everybody gets upset that he's blocking, but honestly, George Kittle needs to be blocking, right? He needs to block. That's part of the offense, is George Kittle out there as an extra lineman. But the fact that they're bringing in linemen is definitely interesting. Not linemen, tight ends is definitely interesting for the competition. And I think the competition this offseason at tight end is going to be pretty tough. It's going to be tough. Again, the best players make the 53-man roster. They got a lot of tight ends now fighting for position, and I think ultimately 3 of them make it. Will Charlie Warner make it? He was a great blocker last year. And again, this is a team that's based on the run game, and I think Charlie Warner might actually make this roster. Ross Dwelly, everybody's penciling him in. But has he shown the qualities to be a blocker? I don't know. He's a great tight end in terms of, catching and his ability in the passing game. And, when George Kittle has gone out and when he's been injured, they've relied on Ross Dwelly a lot. So will Ross Dwelly be able to stay on this roster? I don't know. They did bring in some guys, again, some veterans, and they're going to try to make this roster. But I ultimately, it's way too early to make a prediction. Right now, I mean, obviously you got to say it's going to be Warner, Dwelly, and George Kittle. But one of these guys they signed, maybe, like I said, Tyler Kroft or this guy Fumagalli, maybe they make the roster. Who knows? It's going to be interesting. And that's why I love the offseason. You can see all the different camp battles and things like that. And speaking of camp battles, offensive line, that's the one, right? We don't know who the heck is going to be on this offensive line in a couple months. That is one of the biggest, probably the hardest position to pinpoint and figure out who's going to make this team on the 53-man roster, who's going to make it to the practice squad. There's a lot of young players, right? They got Spencer Burford they drafted. They got Nick Zakelj, who they drafted. They got Donovan West, who is undrafted, who should have probably been drafted. They got the guys from last year, Jalen Moore and Aaron Banks. Aaron Banks, we expect him to be left guard now that Laken Tomlinson's gone. So it's interesting, and then you got Alex Mack. We don't know if he's going to retire or not. We still don't even have a clear answer whether Alex Mack is staying or going. Nobody knows. Maybe, unless, the only person that knows is Alex Mack. Maybe he doesn't even know, right? So offensive line is definitely a question. And then Mike McGlinchey. How's his quad going to hold up? We don't even know how he's going to be able to do once training camp starts. How far along is he in rehab? He looks good on what he's posted, on his Instagram a couple weeks ago, but that's different from game action. Rehab and how he looks, not in pads running is a whole different than running in pads in a game, not even a game, just in training camp. So a lot of questions on Mike McGlinchey. And then, of course, we got the old faithful Trent Williams. He's the constant, the captain, the leader, the best offensive lineman in the NFL. Other than that, there's question marks all along the offensive line. And then you got Dan Brunskill. What's Dan Brunskill going to be? Is he going to be starting? Is he just going to be the utility man like he usually is? He kind of goes all over the line. We don't know what Dan Brunskill is going to bring to the table. So he could play pretty much any position. He could play guard. He could play tackle. Is he going to play center? I don't know. And that's the thing. He can be a valuable chess piece on this offensive line, or he might have to be a starter. So a lot of questions. And then you got some other guys, the depth players. You got Jake Brendel. You got Justin Skule, who's coming off a torn ACL. And then you got Colton McKivitz. So a lot of players. Who ends up on the final roster offensive line? Your guess is as good as mine, and we're going to find out eventually. So let's see if there's any questions. Adam says, will I be at any OTAs or practices? I'm going to try to be at practices, training camp. OTAs, no, because it's only open to specific media, and I am not that specific media yet. Maybe one day, but I will not be at OTAs. I'll be at training camp. I was at training camp last year for a couple of the practices. It's fun. So I will definitely be there at training camp this year. But it's fun to watch. It's good to see, and it's a whole different atmosphere when you're at training camp versus when you see it online and then you see the content people are posting. Definitely want to be at training camp. So my man 49ers Media says Dwelly is not making it. So he thinks Dwelly's not making the 53-man roster. Again, tight end is going to be a tough position. And I think that he has his work cut out because they did bring in some people to bring out the best in Dwelly. And I think that's what they did. They brought in some veteran tight ends to bring out the best in Ross Dwelly. And competition breeds success. I think Ross Dwelly makes the roster. But 49ers Media doesn't think that he's going to make the roster. We'll see. It's still too early, but we'll see. He says he's definitely not making it. You guys in the comments, tell me what you think. Do you think Ross Dwelly's making the 53-man roster? 49ers media doesn't. We're going to have to bet on it maybe on Instagram. So we will see. It's going to be fun to watch. He's absolutely right. Maybe on Instagram we'll go make a bet later this month, later this off season. What's coming? It'll be a good bet. I'll make my boy eat a hot chip if he loses. How about that? How about that? Ross Dwelly's good, man. Put some respect on Ross Dwelly's name, my guy. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. The Ross Dwelly disrespect in here is absolutely crazy. I don't like it. But hey, like I said, it is going to be a tough camp battle. Ross the boss. Anyway, that he said, my man Jonathan Hoyt says, anyways, that we keep 4 tight ends, there's a possibility. If you know anything about Kyle Shanahan, you know he loves the tight end position. He loves them because they act as an extra lineman. And again, it all depends on how good this offensive line is. And if they feel they could use one of these tight ends as an extra down lineman, I guarantee you they'll add another tight end. Charlie Warner is so good at blocking that he could use that blocking skills and kind of substitute for Kittle in that blocking role. I think Charlie Warner makes this roster without a doubt. So just because of his blocking. And he developed as a passer last year. Remember the Colts game? He caught a nice little pass. He showed his yak ability. Charlie Warner doesn't get used in the passing game enough. But I think it's because he's such a good blocker. So I think that they could make 4 tight ends make the final roster. But again, you don't want to have 4 tight ends when you might need another lineman or D lineman because that D line is absolutely amazing. It's hard to lose any of those guys on the bench or on the practice squad or risk having them get picked up. So it is a possibility, but it depends on how strong the other units are. There's a lot of good secondary players, a lot of good cornerbacks, a lot of young cornerbacks. Do you want to keep a tight end over a cornerback? You know, who's going to serve more purpose for you? It really depends. I think they get away with having 3 tight ends because they have such a good offensive set. You know, with Kittle, with Deebo, with Ayuk, and all those guys. But again, you don't want to know. You got to have the best 53 good players. And if one of those tight ends is better than one of those cornerbacks or better than one of those safeties, then sure, you keep the 4 tight ends. But again, it all comes down to what the other positions are looking like and their battles. So it's possibility. Shanahan definitely loves tight ends. So Steve Rogers, what's up? Who's the starting defensive line, defensive end? Right now, gun to my head, if I had to tell you the starting D-line, that's tough because there's going to be so many players that develop. There's a lot of young players, right? Drake Jackson, I want him to be a starter. I don't think he starts right away. I think he develops and he rotates in there. Then you have a guy like Javon Kinlaw, who could probably be a starter on this line, but he's coming off a torn ACL, or not a torn ACL, but ACL reconstructive surgery. And you want to be a little bit more conservative with them. You don't want to throw them into the fire. So players that you might think should be starters, eventually they will be. But right now, again, Drake Jackson, young, learning the defense. He's just getting started in the NFL, right? Javon Kinlaw coming off a major injury, a major surgery. He may not be in that starting lineup because of that. So it's a tough question. It's a tough question to answer. I think Arik Armstead, definitely key cog in the middle. That guy is so good in the middle. And then it becomes a battle at defensive line next to him. It's going to be a rotation, right? Maybe Mo Hurst. Mo Hurst looked good in spurts, but he was always hurt last year. They did sign some defensive linemen. You know, you got Kerry Hyder on one side of the edge. Maybe he starts on one of the ends. Of course, Nick Bosa starting. We know Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead are starters. That's it. Other than that, we don't know who's going to start. You know, you got Samson Ebukam. This guy, second half of the season, was unbelievable. This guy was all over the place. He kind of took him a little time to get started, but Ebukam was nice. And then Charles Omenihu, the guy they traded from the Texans to get, pretty good down to the second half of the season. So a lot of rotational players, but we don't know who's going to step up and prove that they can actually be, a starter and log the most snaps. So that's another battle. It's hard to really pinpoint who's going to start on the D-line right now. But I think, of course, you got to, pencil in Nick Bosa and Arik Armstead. But who's going to start next to them? Anybody's guess. So Eric Bryant, he wants a shout out. Shout out Eric Bryant. There you go. What's up, my man? Eric Bryant, Bang Bang Nana Gang. Maybe follow him. Do what you can. There's your shout out. What's up, man? He said, my man Niner by Nature says, time to get you a studio. It's coming. Small things every day, one step at a time, Niner by Nature. One step at a time. We will get a studio. Don't worry. We're going to get everything started. It's just the first live stream. Were the players on the field today? Did you hear how OTAs went? There's no real news on it today. Players they were on the field, but the problem is there's no media access. The media is only allowed to be on the field 1 day a week. So tomorrow is the day the media gets to see how everybody's doing. They would, the teams, they don't want all their information out there. They don't want all their secrets out there. So tomorrow, the media gets to meet with the team, and you will probably get some content. All the people that are out there covering the team, they'll be out there, and they get to see how things are. We'll get some reports tomorrow, for sure. We'll get some reports tomorrow. I'm sure Grant Cohn will have a lot of good stuff for you guys. So, my man says, I'm going to San Francisco at Denver, week 3, Sunday Night Football. Are you going to the game? I might. Let me know if you're going. Or hit me up that week, and I might be going. I don't know. I don't know which games I'm going to just yet. We will see. Shooting for the Rams at Niners on Monday Night Football. It's a Monday. It's your birthday, Steve Rogers says. Well, happy early birthday, and I hope we get a dub for you on that night. It's going to be a fun game. Monday Night Football against the Rams. Sheesh. My man, Niner by Nature says, all the media is going to be looking at one person, Trey Lance. You're absolutely right. All eyes on Trey. I got a post tonight that says all eyes on Trey, and I'm going to drop a post that says all eyes on Trey. Because literally that's what everybody's going to be looking at tomorrow is Trey Lance. The Trey Lance era basically gets underway. Tomorrow we will see what the media sees. And I'm guarantee you there's going to be so much video, so many clips, and there's going to be Trey Lance. Oh, look at Trey Lance. His first, passes under OTA sunlight since last year, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be great. I can't wait to see what Trey Lance does. I'm hyped up for the guy, man. This kid could be the future of the franchise. Well, he should be the future of the franchise. They traded away a lot to get him. They gave up a lot of draft stock and, a lot of excitement. 22-year-old kid, 22-year-old man, and he is the number 3 pick of last year's NFL draft. So there's a lot of hype around the kid, and I'm excited, as everybody should be. So, my man Aiden says a lot of people are going to be hating on Trey Lance. They might, and that's the way it's going to be. The media is always going to be negative. If he makes one bad move or one bad mistake, they're gonna put it under a microscope. But you know what? I think Trey Lance is going to shine, and he's going to be a great player. You know how we feel on the Quad Box. We always talk about how great Trey is going to be and how dynamic this offense is going to be. And now, what the great thing is we get to see how much he's developed from last year as a rookie in minicamp, then OTAs, and now. I'm so excited to see how much he's developed. He even looks like he just looks like he's wiser. It's weird to say, but just when you hear him talk, kid sounds so humble, so mature for his age. He looks a little bigger, right? A whole year under in the NFL workout training rooms. I'm sure he's gotten bigger. He looks it, from pictures and stuff you see on the internet. I'm super excited to see what Trey Lance brings to the table. A lot of excitement. And tomorrow, you're right. All eyes on Trey. So. And, you got all these, you got the whole media this whole offseason. Oh, he's underwhelming the staff and blah, blah, blah. They haven't even practiced yet. They haven't even practiced. Those are reports from last year from a salty old coach, most likely Rich Grangelo, right? We've heard all the reports where a former coach says he's underwhelming. Listen, Rick, whoever said those reports, most likely Rich Grangelo, this guy, he's not even the coach. He's not the quarterback coach anymore. He's out in Kentucky, and Trey Lance didn't mesh with the way he wanted to coach players. So, you know what? He's going to sit here and say all this stuff. Oh, I didn't like Trey, blah, 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 because he wanted a different quarterback. Whatever the case is, Trey Lance hasn't even practiced yet. Tomorrow, OTAs, we get to see how things are going, and now the narrative will start to turn, and now the people will start to see. When Trey Lance goes out there and he shows how damn good he is and he looks impressive, the narrative is going to turn, and everybody's, Trey, he must be better than we thought. And it's going to be so fun to see all the people that doubted him, all the people that look like clowns look like idiots. It's going to be great. So just hold on tight. It's going to be a great off season. So, My man DJ Too Cole says that they're gonna have media tomorrow. Yes, exactly. That's what we've been talking about. So it's gonna be exciting. We're gonna see some stuff tomorrow. My man Eric Bryant says my cousin Drake Jackson is gonna start. Mark my words. He might. He just might. This kid is a baller. Eric Bryant, he's been telling me in the DMs on Instagram that that's actually his cousin. So shout out to Eric Bryant. He told me that the Niners were going to draft him like months before the draft. I got to tell you the story. He said months before the draft they're going to draft Drake Jackson. That's my cousin. And I was like, all right, we'll see. And when they drafted it, he says, told you, shout me out. So here's Eric Bryant. I'm telling the world, you told me they were going to draft your cousin. And now he's telling me that he's going to start. And I think he will start for sure. How fast he learns that playbook, how fast he kind of develops will be the truth on the, during training camp and everything. But Drake Jackson, he was my favorite draft pick this offseason. Everybody loves Danny Gray, and I do too. But I'm so excited to see Drake Jackson because this team needed some help on that D-line to help Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is an absolute monster. We know he is, but he gets double-teamed. He gets held. He gets thrown around, pushed around. And this man, Drake Jackson, is going to be everything they needed that D Ford couldn't be. He's going to be what D Ford should have been to this team. He's got speed. He's got power. This guy, I don't know how the hell he fell to 61 in the draft. He's going to make all those people look silly that passed on him. This guy is a premium pass rusher. With Nick Bosa and Chris Kasurek, the D-line coach, it's going to be magic. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait, man. I'm so excited to see Drake Jackson on this line. But, of course, he is a rookie, so we got to temper our expectations just a little bit because he's got to learn. He's got to get through it and figure it out. But if he impresses everybody and he can be the guy that we think he could be and live up to that potential, a defensive line with Nick Bosa on one side and Drake Jackson on the other side, good night! They're going to kick me out of this little studio here I got. Whoa, my God. My man Niner by nature. Appreciate you. This guy always doing God's work for the algorithm. Liking the post. Smashing the comments. Everything. I respect him. Thank you so much. Everybody that's dropping in. This is my first live stream on YouTube. It'll get better. I know it's not perfect quality. Hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Your boys on YouTube. We going big time. I love you all. You know how much I respect you through all the years of all the support. I love doing this for you. So drop some questions and I'm going to answer. Let's go. Let's take some questions here and let's do it like that. Thank you, Aiden. Appreciate you. Appreciate you, Steve Rogers. I love you guys. Thank you so much. I love the support. So my man Niner by nature said, if Bosa has a Hall of Fame year and Jackson Defensive Rookie of the Year, Super Bowl, whew, I'm telling you, if those two guys can beat to the potential, like we know Nick Bosa's just about to hit us. He's hitting the prime of his career. He's super young, right? And he's only going to get better. He can be a Defensive Player of the Year. If you have a Defensive Rookie of the Year type season out of Drake Jackson, nobody's stopping this defense. This front defensive line is going to be absolutely bonkers. And I can't wait for it. That is what I want to see. Drake Jackson and Nick Bosa at the peak of their abilities, wrecking quarterbacks and taking all the pressure off the secondary. Because this is the other thing. The secondary is going to be so good because they have such a great front line. And we're forgetting about the linebackers. Fred Warner, Azeez Al-Shahir, and Dre Greenlaw comeback season. That front seven is so good. Oh, my God. And if Kinlaw can be healthy this year and everybody else on that D-line, it's going to be silly, man. It's going to be silly. I'm excited. My man Raul Contreras, he says, yo, this is new. Yes, this is new. Kobe for life. Appreciate you. We are finally here on YouTube for y'all. So let's see. Bang, bang, YouTube. Yeah, maybe that should be the motto of the show. Bang, bang, YouTube gang. Nick Bosa is him. He definitely is. Next jersey that I'm going to buy, I got to go with my man. This might surprise some folks. The next jersey I want to buy is Jimmy Ward, the enforcer. This guy's been on the team for a very long time, since 2014. He's the longest tenured Niner. And I've respected Jimmy for years upon years, just because he's always pushed it through. He's went through injuries. He's fought all the toxicity of the fans. People have called him names. He fought through all the adversity, and he's still on the team. And now he's a captain of the team. The guy has went through hell and back, and he was one of the first players that ever supported me as media, I guess we call it, sports page, sports media, whatever you want to call it. This guy he let me interview him. He would talk to me in the DMs. Like, this guy has been nothing but supportive of me through the years. And I got to give Jimmy Ward the support he's always given me. I'm going to buy a Jimmy Ward jersey because he's a real asshole. He is such a real dude. And one of the realest players I've ever talked to. I love Jimmy Ward. And I got to get a Trent Williams jersey for the culture. Like, I can't believe I don't have a Trent Williams jersey. I need to rep the best left tackle in the game, Trent Williams. Not a lot of people have a Trent Williams jersey. I need to get one. This is a good question. So let's talk about Niner by Nature. I had 2 questions. I want to take this one. Did you hear Chris Sims on the Niner Nation podcast? If so, what are your thoughts? We'll talk about that in a minute. I want to answer your other question. Does Fangio take over as DC next year? If so, do we run a 3-4? I think he might, depending on what DeMeco Ryans does, right? DeMeco Ryans is the guy that everybody probably will want as a head coach next year. As a rookie defensive coordinator this previous season, this guy was unbelievable as a DC, right? Great defensive mind, and he's been waiting in the wings. He's been waiting to take that role, and he crushed it. First season, top 10 defense. He left no crumbs. And I mean, the injuries they had, the secondary, they had depth problems. You had Josh Norman, Dre Kirkpatrick at one point of the season. All the injuries mounted up. Dre Greenlaw got hurt, and they still had a damn good unit. The defense kept this team in so many games. Like, the defense won so many. They carried this team so many times, man. And that's because DeMeco Ryans was a hell of a coach. And he's only going to get better. Like, these linebackers have been great because of DeMeco. Like, he was the linebackers coach, and now he's the DC. If he becomes the head coach next year, I think Fangio would take over as defensive coordinator if he wants to. He took a year away from football. He's been kind of watching. He's been viewing, off-season activities with the Niners. He turned down being a consultant, but did he really? Did he really? I think Vic Fangio is going to be a guy that John Lynch says, hey, look, DeMeco left, you're my first choice. And it's going to be up to Vic Fangio if he wants to take the job. And I would pretty much presume he takes it and turns the defense into what he envisions, which might be a 3-4 defense. But that's a whole nother story for another day. That's all speculation. But I think that if DeMeco Ryans were to leave, Vic Fangio would be the first choice. I don't know. Speculation. It makes sense to me. First, let's see. 49ers media. This is a great question. Who from the UDFAs, undrafted free agents, do I think makes the roster? So this is a tough question because I don't know if they make the roster, but they might make the practice squad. So technically they make the roster. I think Donovan West, of course, the center, we all want him to. He's getting paid $100,000 guaranteed money as an undrafted player. That's kind of unheard of. That's pretty rare. Most of these undrafted guys don't get that much. $100,000 guaranteed is pretty good for an undrafted player. You know what I mean? So I think I think they're looking for him to make this roster. They just want to make sure he comes in and leaves no crumbs and tears it up. You can't just go in there and expect to say, oh, I'm Donovan West. I'm going to go out there and make the roster. No, man, you still got to go out there and compete and show the coaches what you can do. So I think he can make the roster, but he still has to go improve. So I think he's a guy that a lot of people expect to make the roster because he was talented. Could have been a 4th-round pick, a 3rd-round pick maybe. Had a little bit of injury history toward the tail end of the whole draft process, and it bumped him down. But Donovan West, I expect him to make it if he can play to his potential. And again, we talked about O-line earlier. We don't really know what's going on with the O-line in terms of who's going to actually make it. Donovan West can come in and do better than Jake Brendel, Colton McKivitz, and a couple other guys on this offensive line. He's making the roster, right? You got Justin Sewell, Colton McKivitz, and Jake Brendel, who he can probably beat out. He's making the roster. So I think Donovan West can make it. And now a guy that I know everybody wants to make this team is my boy Leon O'Neal Jr. This guy has got the mentality. He's saying all the right things. He's got a chip on his shoulder. He loves the mentality. He says 21 safeties were passed me in the draft. I want to make them all think twice. And then he said the goal of any rookies to make the 53-man roster. I'm thinking bigger defensive rookie of the year. Like, this guy has lofty expectations. He's out there trying to prove himself. He's coming in with a chip on his shoulder. If there's a player I've rooted to make this team more than anybody as an undrafted player, it's Leon O'Neal Jr. I hope he makes this roster. That safety battle is not going to be easy. Tarvarius Moore coming off a torn Achilles, he wants to prove himself. You got Hufanga year 2, he wants to prove himself. And then you got my boy Leon O'Neal Jr., he wants to prove himself. Then you got George Odom, the guy they got in the free agency, who's a special teams Pro Bowler. I think he wants to be more than just a special teamer. I think he wants to start. So this safety battle next to Jimmy Ward is going to be absolutely balls to the wall, bananas, berserk, whatever you want to call it. Leon O'Neal Jr., don't sleep on the kid. If he doesn't make the final roster, he's making practice squad. But this kid, I want him to make it so much. I remember he went live about 2 weeks ago after he got drafted. He's talking, everybody's hyped on the kid because, we're a fan of him. The whole fan base wanted to draft this kid, and everybody's upset. I remember draft day, we should have drafted Leon. We should have drafted O'Neal. And the Niners got him undrafted. Holy crap. Everybody lost their mind, right? So he goes live. He pulls me into live. We're sitting there talking. And the guy was the nicest dude. And he said, just from the first time I've talked to him, when we went live a couple weeks ago, and the answers he gave me and how hard he wants to work and how hard he wants to prove himself to these coaches, I want him to make this roster. So those are the two guys I want to make this roster. And undrafted players make the 49ers roster, or at least the practice squad. Emmanuel Mosley, Azeez Al-Shahir, Kendrick Bourne, Matt Breida, Raheem Mostert. These guys have made the roster over the years. So it's not impossible. I'm pulling for those two guys. Great question, media. Whew. Do we pick up the Ward extension next year? I hope we do, man. I want this guy to retire as a 49er. Why not? He got drafted here. Let's hope they pick him up. He's a great veteran, a great leader in this clubhouse. I hope they pick up the Ward extension. And if you extend him, you kind of make some nice moves in the salary cap, right? So I think it would actually help the salary cap overall. Although next year's the salary cap goes up, so it doesn't really matter as much. But I do like Jimmy Ward, and I think they should keep him because he's become a great leader. And I love the guy, so. My man Eric Bryant says Hufanga should start. I think he can, but he has to improve his coverage skills. The guy was solid as a special team, and there were some times where he was just out there making plays. Like, he's kind of that hybrid player where he doesn't just necessarily play safety. Like, he plays inside the box a lot, but he has just a knack for the ball. So he did make some incredible plays last year. There's some times that he gets lost in coverage, and I think that's where he needs to improve in terms of skills overall. And I think he can. Second year, this guy trains hard. I hope he can. I hope he can improve in safety, in coverage. But you got to remember, this secondary is improved overall, and the D-line is going to be so important to the help of the secondary. And you got a guy like Jimmy Ward who's kind of like, he does it all for the secondary. He's such a safety guy. He's a true safety in the sense of he goes out there and he really steps back and he makes some plays that save the game. And Jimmy Ward, man, I think if Hufanga can improve his coverage skills just a little bit, he'll definitely be in that rotation. I don't know if he should start right away because, again, you got to have a little bit better coverage skills. And he was a rookie, though, last year. He didn't get a lot of opportunities, but I like what Hufanga brings to the table. He's tough. He's physical. He's got a good mindset to him. He just seems like he's got that oomph to him, you know what I mean? Like, he seems like he's going to make this league. I don't know. He just has that vibe to him. I like Hufanga. 5th-round gem. He was a great college player at USC. This guy was a absolute dog, captain, leader. He had some injury problems. He played pretty aggressive, but I like his style. I like Hufanga. I think he can start. Got to improve that coverage, though. What will the feeling be to know you have an elite quarterback like Allen and Mahomes? Whew! I can't wait to find out, man. If Trey Lance turns out to be the player we thought he can be, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, or 80% of that, it's gonna be amazing thing. It's gonna be amazing thing. What's up, Rodney? What's up? Whew. My man Niner by Nature says Hufanga can be elite once he can read what the offense is trying to do to him. Yeah, and it goes to coverage skills, how to read a quarterback's eyes, how to cover the field, where you have to be in space. The safety is a tough position. You have to know where things are going to be. And reading a defensive eye, a quarterback's eyes is the first thing. So 100%, just like I said, you got to be able to read and react and play that coverage. It's not just about making the big hits, because he's a thumper. He's aggressive. He can sit there and make people, fumble the ball because of just getting crushed. So I do think that he can improve this year. It's his second year. The kid has the mental makeup to be a good player. So my man Raul Contreras, he says he sees Huff seems slow. Actually, he's not a fast guy, but he's a thumper, aggressive player. He's going to hit you hard in the mouth. And O'Neal, I know his 40 time, I think that's what dropped him in the combine and everything in the draft. So, again, these guys have to go out there. They're going to battle, man. You got O'Neal and Hufanga and Odom. Only the strong will survive, I'm telling you. This could be a tough position. And Tarvarius Moore. I think people are sleeping on Tarvarius. This guy is super athletic. If he can get back to where he was pre-Achilles injury, it's going to be hard to beat him out, because this guy was supposed to be a starter. And then he had that shitty injury. So I'm excited for the safety battle. Who do you guys think is going to win the safety battle? Hufanga, O'Neal, Tarvarius Moore, or Odom? Who do you guys think is going to win the safety battle? Drop it in the comments. Raul Contreras, O'Neal supposedly ran a 4.7, but he looked faster. Yeah, that's exactly what he was saying. He says that they messed up his timing. Like, he says he even said that it was an error. Sometimes they don't stop the watch. There's been errors, in the combine, clocking speed. So he says that he runs faster than that, and he knows he ran faster than that. But unfortunately, the official times are given, and it said, oh, you ran a 4.7. And for a safety, it's not a good time. So I think he's just going to come out there and prove himself. At the end of the day, all this, combine performances and your test scores, it don't matter when you're actually on the field and they see you and the coaches see you and they get their eyes on you. They're like, oh, shit, that guy's good. Okay. That's what I think O'Neal is going to do. He's going to show these guys, like, oh, shit, this guy is good. So that's what we're hoping for out of O'Neal. So good comment right there. Respect it. My man Eric Bryant, Huff is a god. Just watch. Mark my word. Whoo. If he's as good as you say he is, then we'll see. My man Niner by Nature, Hufanga. A lot of people are saying Hufanga. So, more. Hufanga going to be a Pro Bowler? I like it. I hope if Hufanga could be a Pro Bowler, we're going to be excited. Raul Contreras says, are you going to the Raider and Niner game? I want to. Definitely have that game circled. And I'm from Vegas, so if I don't make it to that game, I might not ever be allowed back in Vegas, because I kind of have to go. I think people expect me to go. That's my hometown. We always talked about, if the Niners ever play the Raiders in Vegas, we got to go. So I kind of have to go. So I'll probably be there. Let's see. A couple more questions, and then we'll pop off here. I'm going to go watch the NBA playoffs. But I appreciate you guys for coming in the live tonight. YouTube, yo, check it out, man. The first live stream, we got 44 followers. We got 18 likes. Not bad. I'm pretty happy here. Appreciate the support. Tell your friends, tell your mother, tell your grandma that Raj is on YouTube. And please, let's support the channel. I might be the only Niner jersey in Vegas. I might. Oh, man. Mariah, 49er Faith Felice is from Vegas, too. I was in Vegas for almost my whole life, and then I moved out here about 5 years ago. I do miss it. I didn't think I was going to miss Vegas as much as I do, but I do. I miss Vegas. It's hot. But I miss that damn hot city. It's amazing. Vegas is so, the cost of living was a beautiful thing. I do miss Vegas. Drake Jackson and Huff. Whew. The old teammates from USC. Old teammates. Who do I have going to the NBA Finals? I got Warriors and Heat. Born and raised. There you go. Any more questions? Couple more questions. Keep them coming. And we'll go over them real quick. Let's see. We'll take 2 more questions for tonight. Favorite all-time Niner by Steve Rogers. My favorite all-time 49er is Steve Young. I mean, that was my guy, man. Steve Young. I remember back in the day when they had the quarterback controversy. I was a young buck. Everybody wanted Montana. I love Joe Montana. Great player. But I liked Steve Young for some reason. I just thought he should get his chance. And, he had that mobility. He could run. He could throw. And it was just something about him. And I was like, oh, I want this guy to play. And I remember he finally got his opportunity, and they traded away Joe Montana. Everybody was like, they just traded away Joe Montana. And I was like, don't worry, this guy's going to lead us all the way. My dad, because me and my dad, that's why I'm a Niner fan, because my dad, rest in peace. But he was like, I'm not going to watch these damn games anymore. He wanted to boycott the team, and a lot of people did. They were so mad they traded away Joe. I was like, trust Steve Young. We got a great team. I think we'll win, right? I was a young buck. I was like 10 or 11. And I trusted Steve Young so much because I saw this, and I don't know, I was such a huge Steve Young fan. When he finally went out there and they won that Super Bowl, got the monkey off the back, everybody loved him. And I was like, you see, that's my boy, Steve Young. That was my guy, the lefty, the number 8. 8's my favorite number, always has been. It was just something about Steve and Jerry Rice, man. That duo was dynamic, and Steve was the man. He just took too much hits to the head, unfortunately. Ended his career a little shorter than it had to be. But that guy was, Steve Young was the man. So good. Steve Young was the absolute man. He was such a good quarterback. No disrespect to anybody else that was on the Niners, but the Steve Young, man, guy was so dope, dude. He was the best. Favorite Niner of all time. My man Drew C says, Jason Verrett, if he plays a full season, will be one of the biggest game changers. Oh, my God. If Jason Verrett can be healthy this season, this secondary, game over for the league. Manuel Mosley, Charvarius Ward, and Jason Verrett. That's amazing to me. I'm hoping he's healthy because Jason Verrett, you're right, is a game changer. This guy, when he's healthy, he's a Pro Bowl cornerback. The guy is absolutely amazing. You can have Jason Verrett on one side, Charvarius Ward on the other side, who I love. That was my favorite move of the offseason in terms of free agents. I was so happy they spent money on a cornerback. They never do. They gave him big money, and this guy was good in Kansas City without that great of a D-line in a front seven. I think with the Niners front seven, he's going to be a Pro Bowler this year. Mark my words. So you can have Jason Verrett on one side, Charvarius Ward on the other side. You could put Mosley in the slot. It's over, baby. It's over. Anyways, that's it for tonight on YouTube. This is the first YouTube live show, man. There's Smitty, my man. Appreciate you. We're going to do a live this week with Smitty. I'm going to do some stuff on Instagram and everything, but that's the first live. My man Eric Bryan, tell these people Deebo is good. We know Deebo is good. He's going to re-sign a contract. We've been saying it on the Quad Box week in, week out. Deebo's not going anywhere. He's going to sign that contract extension, but I appreciate the support. Yeah, good first show. I love you guys. Niner by nature, you didn't answer my podcast question. What is your podcast question? And I'll answer it. Or I could save it for the next show. Got to give you some content. Leave y'all waiting. Drop your question. Maybe I'll answer it. Maybe I'll save it for the next show. We'll see. But I appreciate you guys tonight. This is fun. YouTube's the vibe. We're going to be on YouTube a lot more. We're going to keep growing it. Chris Sims on Niner Nation. Let's pull the clip up, shall we? Let's pull the clip up. I saw that earlier. So Let's see. Let's pull it up. Let's share it with everybody.
Your viewers here.
Here we go.
You see it. I don't know. You see the motion. I'm going to line up for you and your viewers here. You see it. He dips down like that, right? And then the ball drops. And then it comes way over the top. And he goes like this after he throws, like it's like a whip. And I've never seen anybody throw the ball that way, really. So that's, again, just some of my questions. And I know I sound like a jerk and overcritical, but I'm just trying to keep it real with everybody and try to give everybody a little nuance on at least my thought there. I don't know. You see.
So there's a couple things that Chris Sims said. That was a little clip of it, right? A little clip of it. Let's pull up the excerpt. You know what? The whole media is finding, this is what I think about. The whole media is finding little ways and little nitpicky things to figure out a way to hate on Trey Lance because they don't like it. He's different. Guess what? Sometimes different is okay. And the thing is, people are not okay with change, things that are different. Chris Sims is just a hater. That's it. Chris Sims is just a hater. He's probably mad because his best friend Kyle Shanahan's not telling him everything he needs to be told. Chris Sims is absolutely oblivious. I can't stand this guy's his rankings. I just cannot wait for a couple months from now when Trey Lance is dominating the league and he's going to be like totally full. He's going to be changing his story. He's going to be talking all whole different dialect. He's going to be talking out his ass. I'm telling you, Chris Sims is sitting there. He's stupid. And a lot of these guys in the media, they just say stuff to say stuff because it gets ratings. And I've said this before. When people find a topic, a trending topic, they're going to sit there and talk negative because they get clicks, they get engagement. I should start coming on here and start saying some negative ass shit and my engagement will go through the roof. But I'm not going to do it because I want to keep it real with you guys. But I'm telling you, Chris Sims is a joke of a joke. I can't with that, man. I cannot. He always does that on purpose because he always likes to circle back. But if you keep the receipts on this guy, he always contradicts himself. I'm telling you. But that's my thought on Chris Sims. That's a good question. Maybe we'll talk about it on Instagram later. I'm going to bounce out. We'll be live a little later on Instagram. I want to go watch this NBA game. It's a great playoff series. But I appreciate the support. You guys are the best. We'll be live again on YouTube. I want to go live on YouTube every day this week. And I'll be live on Instagram too. Double the work. So don't worry. We all know that Trey Lance is going to be king of the NFC eventually, sooner rather than later. You guys take care. Have a good night. Bang, bang. Nine gang. Hit the likes. Subscribe to the channel. And tell your mom or your dad or your uncle or your grandma or your aunt. Tell them. RSF 49ers is on YouTube. RSF 49ers is on YouTube. RSF. Let's get the word out, baby boy. I love you guys. Have a good night. Bang, bang. Nine gang.